Hey everyone. Today I want to talk about Steven Crowder again. Did a video on him not too long ago, but I was watching The Quartering, and thanks to Jeremy for this. But he was talking about he's in contact with Steven and half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond, and he said that apparently Steven and his lawyer are going to be. They've already filed a lawsuit for YouTube in regards to this 2 week suspension, and reportedly YouTube is probably looking to delete his channel totally. That's what they're doing in these last 2 weeks. They're probably combing through his videos to find something to get him on. But there is a lawsuit being filed right now, and this is a big one because this is what's going to define how conservatives are treated on YouTube and possibly other media. We don't know how far this is going to go. Hopefully this one turns out. Right now, let's be real. I'll admit it. I'm centrist, also conservative. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. And I have to admit, sometimes Crowder does push the envelope. I mean, he's a comedian. Sometimes he does shock comedy. And there are some times where I'm like, wow, that's kind of pushing it far. But the point is he is one of those ones who is testing the system. A lot of people like Anthony Brian Logan and Tim Pool, they all admit that, you know, he specifically does comedy that pushes the envelope. And so I'm not surprised that he's the one who's being censored so much and being demonetized so often and all of this stuff. But all this comes down to defining what hate speech and harassment is. And that's what we need to do, is we need to define our terms. When it comes to this area of defining hate speech and harassment, there's two things that really need to be done. And one, we need to make sure that it's defined in clear writing and that the left aren't able to constantly move the goalposts. You know, they're called progressives for a reason. They constantly find new things to claim that are racist or whatever. And all over Twitter, we see people introducing new things that they believe are that fall under that. So we need to, if we are going to actually define this, we're going to have it set in stone and not just being able to interpret from anybody on Twitter. We need actual accountability. They like that word accountability. We need them to be accountable too, because you can't just keep redefining that term. And the second one is we need to hold everyone to the same standard, not just people on the right, not just conservatives. I mean, one that I point to a lot are the Young Turks. I mean, those two, and if you watch them, you know who I'm saying. I'm not gonna say their names or anything, but those two specifically, the man and the woman, they have said many they've said many things that are not flattering about people, especially conservatives. And when it comes to if you want to say that conservatives are bullying or harassing people, those two say some pretty crazy things themselves. But like I said, this whole thing of hate speech, it's constantly being redefined, especially by people on Twitter. I mean, Twitter is a bastion for people with liberal arts degrees who have nothing to do. So instead, they comb through pop culture and they point to, oh, look, this Dr. Seuss book that has been out for 20, 30 years, this one needs to be canceled. Oh, look at this music video. Look at this movie. They have nothing to do, and they want clicks and attention themselves. So they go out and for the whole world to see, and they say, look, this needs to be stopped. We can't have that. We can't have things constantly being changed just for the betterment of your Twitter account. That can't happen. Sorry, I'm sick. Yeah. But anyways, could you imagine what would happen? What would happen if the left was able to say, "All right, guys, you get to say whatever you want to define as hate speech, you can." I mean, there would be nothing on YouTube. There would be nothing in movies. And then if we have this squad of conservatives, of these leftists who constantly patrol these things, after a year there would be more people on Twitter saying they're not doing enough just to get themselves more credit. So this whole thing needs to be defined. And I've heard people say, "Oh, our conservatives aren't really censored. They're just being held accountable," right? That word, accountable. Well, why aren't other people on your side being held accountable? Why aren't leftists being held accountable when it comes to the rioting, when it comes to things that they say about conservatives? I mean, I've heard and seen there are murders that have happened. So you're telling me that only conservatives can be held accountable, but not the other side? I mean, it's ridiculous. And look at every conservative channel on YouTube. Half of them have been demonetized, even super small channels. So don't give me this BS that they're just being held accountable and they're just upset that they're... No, because the goalposts are constantly being moved and you aren't holding yourselves accountable for your own actions. And they say, "Oh, it's done because they're being hateful towards people who are hateful." That doesn't make sense, right? Plus, I've seen leftists who are unprovoked. There are people who just define themselves as conservatives, and because someone calls them a conservative and they know someone they don't like who is a conservative, they'll attack them unprovoked. I've seen it happen. Anyways, support Crowder, especially Jeremy the Quartering. I hear that they're gonna, in a couple days, Jeremy's gonna have Stephen Crowder and Bill Richmond on his channel talking about this lawsuit. I think this is very important and we need to support him. I'm a Mug Club member myself. I think that more people need to join that, especially if he is taken off YouTube. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later, and God bless.